Thank you for listening to another episode of New England Horror Files podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about weird happenings in the Bridgewater Triangle. If you're not familiar, and you're the minority of the listeners, I would imagine, but the Bridgewater Triangle is an area in southeastern Massachusetts. It's known for being kind of a hotbed of paranormal phenomena, UFO sightings, weird cryptid sightings, Bigfoot type sightings, dogman sort of things, giant snakes, thunderbirds, like all sorts of things. Anything you could imagine. Pukwudgies are known for being in certain areas. Anything you could think of, Bridgewater Triangle has it, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
And that stretches from Freetown to Rehoboth all the way up to about Abington, just at the top. Like the tip of the Bridgewater Triangle is Abington, Massachusetts, which is actually what we're going to kind of jump into right now, because Mary had sent me this just a random Facebook post about an area out there, and it just kind of caught my attention. It was just kind of like gruesome and creepy. So, tell me a little bit about that, Mary. Let's jump over to that.
Oh, wicked! All right, so
Wicked. It's not that kind of podcast. I told you we're not a Boston podcast.
So where exactly is Abington?
Why don't we meet over in Braintree?
Oh, no. What about Brockton? Stop. How about Weymouth? All right, I can't do that without a straight face.
Why don't we meet in Swampskin?
Hey, what about Revere? Okay, if anyone doesn't know and they're wondering what we're making fun of, it's a skit called Boston Accent, and
what's that guy's name? I can't think of his name.
Oh,
a comedian. He's a famous guy. Like he's a famous.
I know
Boston
he is,
comic.
and I don't know.
I hope he's listening. Name. He's like, come on, why don't you fucking know me?
All right, I'm gonna clean up this town. Okay, hold on. Stop. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Boston, Seth Meyers.
Seth Meyers, that's the guy. Yeah, the guy's
There's other
on, like,
people
Saturday
in
Night Live and shit.
Oh god, it's right here. I just want to click on it and watch it. Okay. We'll put that in the comments because that skit is hysterical. I love the Boston accent. It's probably one of my favorite accents of all time. Yes. I mean, forget about it. All right, so
we'll link that for you guys. Or maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
Fuck yourself. Oh. Okay. This is serious time, John.
Okay. Serious face.
We're back to the podcast. All right. So I'm in this Bridgewater Triangle group on Facebook, and there's actually a bunch, but I'm in one of them. I just found out this evening there's many, but this post came up a few days ago, and it allowed me to read it to you. It says, Ames Noel State Park in Abington was once home to a gristmill operated by Ames Noel, the grandson of Oliver Ames, located on Beaver Brook in the 1700s. In the 1920s, the land was purchased by Edwin Holmes, who dammed the brook, forming Cleveland Pond. This beautiful bird sanctuary park has a sinister past. In 1979, around 3 a.m., residents near the park reported loud howls, described as a cross between animal and human, coming from the outskirts of the park. In 1980, two campers reported a strange creature lurking in the park. In the 1990s, two dirt bikers stumbled upon a tree stump used as a makeshift altar with a mirror resting on top, surrounded by blood and chicken bones. The gruesome discovery worsened as they saw a dog ripped open from its throat to its tail with a railroad spike through its head. Oh. Throughout the years, hikers have discovered... I know, I just kind of read that, and as I'm reading it, I'm like, what the...
Poor dog.
Yeah, I know, right? Like... I will say, as a person who's been in the woods, you find some interesting shit in the woods. I can't say I've ever found anything like that. I've definitely found a good amount of carcasses and bones and things, but like that's a whole nother level. Um, Throughout
Yeah.
the years, hikers have discovered raccoons, deer, and dogs skinned and hung from trees. Witnesses say they feel like they're being watched while walking down the path to the point of getting sick. In December 2014, the bodies of 20-year-old Ashley Milet and 51-year-old Linda Schofelt, both sex workers, were found on the Brockton Trail near the VFW Club. On October 14, 2021, 5-year-old Elijah Lewis was reported missing from New Hampshire. His body was found in a plastic container buried in the state park off Chestnut Street. There's a picture of the park with some fog. It's pretty creepy. And there is some commentary below this post. We can go through a tad if you'd like. I love
Yeah.
this. Massachusetts is. Oh, wait, hold on. The first comment is go fishing there every summer. Like, it's all happy go lucky. Like, yeah, I go fishing there every summer. All right, so
Thank you for
second.
letting us know.
All righty. I'm glad you had a good time. Massachusetts is cursed. The whole state. Ames Knoll, Miles Standish, very bad and creepy vibes.
Mm.
Well, we all know how we feel about Miles Standish. I was never allowed there as a child.
Yep.
Now I know why. Parents are like, don't go there. That's always an indicator of something awful. It's a strange feeling place. Next comment. But other than all that, a great place to hike. Oh my God.
The trails are beautiful.
It's a beautiful park. All right. Somebody's arguing. Oh, there's a lot of arguing. Massachusetts style.
All right. I don't.
Yeah, there's not.
I thought it just kind of reminded me of some of the other really fucked up things I've heard about Massachusetts state parks, like Freetown, and Miles Standish in particular.
Right.
Like especially with
For
the like the dog. I thought that was kind of like a ritualistic sort of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know.
right. Oh well, that made me think Freetown all day.
Yeah,
There's a lot about Freetown.
the satanic panic.
Yeah, just like
Yeah,
there's a lot there, which is interesting, is because Freetown is. Hey, what is this? Freetown's like an hour from Abington. Am I right? Half
more
an
or less.
hour, 40 minutes maybe.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah, it's about probably about 30, 40 minutes. So it's but the thing is, this is all in the same area. You know what I mean? So like, this is why the Bridgewater Triangle has it, just from top to bottom, has all sorts of insane stuff going on.
Yeah,
Like
it really
almost all the
does.
time.
It does.
Yeah, so we kind of I was curious about what this thing said about in 1979 around 3 a.m. and this brought me to the BFRO website, bfro.net. And sure enough, there's a sighting or a report rather from July 1979, Class B sighting, which is like a vocalization, not a visual. Possible vocalizations heard by residents in the Bridgewater Triangle. This is a very lengthy report, but I think it's pretty interesting and ties directly to that post. So
Okay, so this report is from July of 1979, and this is Abington, also Abington, Massachusetts, routes 18 and 123 and 139. 25 years ago, I heard the most awful and terrifying screams for 3 nights in a row. We had just built a 2-story addition, which is situated further back on a lot, about 150 feet into the woods from the street. This area was considered suburban, but was fairly rural at that time. There are houses built along the street that are on lots of 3/4 to 1 acre. We own several acres of heavily wooded land, and our house sits back on the lot further than the others. The section of woods is bordered by 3 state highways, and is about 1 mile length by 1.5 mile width of woods and some farmland fields. At the time, there were only two dead-end streets that penetrated this section of woods. Another country road separates this section on the west, with a state park nearby, half a mile from the road. This park is several hundred acres of lakes and heavily wooded areas. The area now is filled with housing and development. It was July and upwards of 90 degrees, and the peepers were very loud. Each evening between 2 and 3:30 a.m., an extremely loud howling, screaming sound would start far away. As it came closer, the screams lasted for 20 to 30 seconds each and occurred every 1 to 2 minutes or so, and you could hear bushes and branches being swept out of the way with loud crunching and breaking sounds and screams that would get louder in intensity. The woods at that time were covered with thick vines and brambles that were about 3 to 5 feet high. It was extremely difficult to walk through any section of the woods that was not cleared. You just didn't stroll through the woods, especially in the pitch black. When this thing came closer, all the peepers and the night sounds completely ceased. The sound was so loud in volume that it actually caused you to freeze. I mean that it ran your blood cold. I remember laying in bed not wanting to investigate because whatever it was big, and I did not want to find out what it was. It was not the sound of a bear, a mountain lion, or a wounded deer. The sound had a human quality about it, and it was like it was searching for something and had a sense of pain or distress about it. It would travel parallel through the woods about 100 feet behind my house. On the third night, I got up immediately and waited for this thing to get closer. I have a switch in the bedroom that would turn on some roof-mounted floodlights that would shine in the backyard. We did not have a deck or anything at that time, and the woods were about 25 feet behind the house. This thing was crashing through the woods, and when it was right behind the house, it gave out this huge, loud moan. I was looking out the window with all the inside lights out, and then I turned on the floodlights. The screams stopped, and there was silence for about 5 seconds, and then it crashed through the woods away from the house very quickly, opposite the direction it came from. You could hear the crashing of a two-footed creature. I heard the crashing sounds for about another minute, and then it faded and it was quiet. I was really spooked and went downstairs and started turning on all the lights and the outside lights. I noticed that all my neighbors were turning on their outside lights as well. This was unusual because no one left outside lights on, and there were no street lights in this section of the street. There were at least 4 other houses that turned their lights on. I contemplated whether to call the police, but did not. The next day, while mowing the lawn, my elderly neighbor across the street from me came over and said, "Dave, did you hear those sounds last night? I've heard them for several nights and almost called the cops. If I hear it again, I'm calling the police." I never heard anything like that in my life. I agreed, and it was good that someone else confirmed the incident to me. All these years, I have only told close friends of the story, and the kidding I take is unmerciful. But I know to this day what I heard, and it was absolutely real. I forgot about it for many years until I saw some Bigfoot documentary in the early 1990s. They played a recording, and when I heard it, it brought back the whole incident. It was almost identical to the sound I've played the sound recordings on various websites, and would say that it was pretty close to the Ohio or Pennsylvania recordings. I never heard anything after 1979, and I did not see anything. Perhaps others have given reports from this area, and this report may be helpful. I'm being truthful about this. I do not drink or do any non-prescription drugs. I'm a church administrator in a Bible, non-denominational church. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that like 100 feet is not that far.
No, it's not.
That's like a telephone pole, a little more than a telephone pole distance. So like 100 feet, a telephone pole away from your window. That's insane. You know, I get all riled up when I hear like, because you know how like raccoons make a lot of racket. I
Yep.
actually the other night I was outside and we have a dumpster like it's like the community dumpster whatever, there's a dumpster, I don't know, 100 feet actually away from my house, and I can't see it, but I can hear if somebody's at it, right? So I'm outside. It's like, it's late. It's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I hear all this racket at the dumpster, all this racket, and I'm like, what the? And I'm like, that's too close for me. Like, it was probably a racket. It could have been a bear. We definitely have bears here, black bears, but I didn't stay inside long enough to find, or outside long enough to find out. It's too close. So can you imagine, like, you live in the woods or semi woods, and you just hear this screaming 3 nights in a row? Like, that's got to be terrifying. What do? You kind
Yeah,
of like you said, you got frozen and blood ran cold, and that's freaking. I don't know. When something happens in like that, and you go into a different mode, I think. You know, I
yeah.
I don't know if I've ever. I'm not going to tell it now, but I have a similar, well, semi-similar story. But it does. It really just it does something to you. I am surprised that nobody called the cops though after 3 nights in a row, right?
Well, it says it's a suburban town of about 10,000 people. That's a very small town.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, if you
Some
think about
places
it,
don't really have, like, in 79, like how many, there might be like less than like a handful of police, very small police force.
yeah, that's true. That's true. He also goes on to say, underneath, like, there's always other notes, right? He talks about there was a path in the woods about a mile long that ran like, um hold on, pause. Is he saying there's a path here that was supposed to be there, or a path through the brush?
Um,
Oh, never mind. Just forget what I just said. So there was a path that was like, okay, it's an intentional path. So anyway, that's an interesting story, I think. And also another one from Hanson, and this is a much newer one. And this is I'm just going to go over it briefly. I don't think we need to read it verbatim, but this is from February of 2014, and this is from Hanson, which is like the next town over to the east of Abington. It's titled "Road Crossing and a Close Call with a Vehicle During the Day Outside Hanson." So this is in the same area. Like, it's definitely more built up now, but it's still, if you go out there, like, it's kind of rural. Like, there are definitely some more rural areas of that section of Massachusetts. Um, Basically, and also this was 11 years ago. So something, this person is driving down by the dump in the afternoon. There's a storm, raining very hard. I guess a large figure came out of nowhere across the street, but there was another car coming towards him. The figure almost ran into the back of the other car, and it turned. He said when it turned and the movement that it made to kind of avoid the other car, he saw that it was like, it wasn't a person, it wasn't a bear. It was slightly hunched over, extremely wide shoulders, covered in dark brown hair. Um, about 6 inches taller than the minivan that it almost ran into. And I guess it, disappeared into the woods and really shook this person up. Um, I'm just reading real quick. So there was a gravel pit where he came out of, and he ran across the road into a very heavily wooded area with some swampy areas. So that's an interesting sighting, because, like, when you see something too, like that, I wonder if there's some sort of, like, is that what I saw? Because it's like pouring rain.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm like, I, I, I like to be. I'm consider myself pretty skeptical about things. So,
Right.
but I'm also like just kind of the process of elimination of things. Just kind of points to sometimes things. are just not fully explained. I don't know. So
True.
I'm also open. I might be skeptical, but I'm also open to these ideas of like cryptids and what have you.
Right.
So
Well, yeah. Like I feel like with this, with cryptids, for example, especially in this area, there are actually a good amount of accounts from that area. There's actually one that is not on this map,
you're talking about
or
Abington?
no, it might be in a different county actually. Oh, I don't know my Massachusetts counties like I should. This is actually in closer to New Bedford. So what's New Bedford? Is that Bristol County? I think it's Bristol County.
Yep.
Anyway, there's one about somebody had a sighting in the. Yeah, it's from 2009. This is we. I think we've actually read this, or we read it somewhere. But guy and his girlfriend are on Route 140 at night, and something crossed in front of them on 140. They were going from New Bedford to Freetown. Well, that's their first problem. But anyway, they're on 140 and right near, I guess, exit 7 or so. They see something. A similar story, crossing the road. Um, Very tall, ape-like quality. They did call the police in that instance, but I guess that the police had gotten multiple reports of someone running in the road, quote unquote. It's not a good idea though to be running on Route 140 at night, right? Like,
But I'm
dude.
not into ghosts. I'm not into like going places and doing that stuff. I'm just into kind of like the stories, the
So
history, the that
Freetown, Freetown is a place you should go. You don't have to go at night. Don't be an ass like me. Just go during the day. Like during the day, there's tons of people around, walking, hiking, driving, like whatever. Um, the story from Freetown. So we used to drive through Freetown all the time, and way back in the day when it was just me and my husband, and we only had our older kids, so it was just me and him. I think just taking a day drive, and I stop at the bridge, one of the bridges there. There's nobody around, nobody. I'm telling you, nobody this time. I get out. I'm like, oh look, I want to take a picture of that. So literally, in the amount of time it takes to pull over the car, so we were on a bridge. There was like a view of like the water. Get out of the car, snap a picture. I don't even think I had snapped a picture, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a police car behind us. He pulls up, stops behind us, and he's like, "You can't smoke on the bridge." And I have a cigarette in my hand, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like I'm just taking a picture, dude. Like it was like that cop in Terminator. He had that whole like air about him. Like where did you even come from, dude? But anyway, that's
oh,
Freetown,
the
good old Freetown.
T1000.
I guess, yeah. You just had this whole like, or like when they pull over the
Creepy.
kids in Super Troopers and they're trying to be serious. Almost made it. It was kind of like that. Shit. So I snapped the picture and got back in the car, and then we took off. But there it was. So there's another story. So I think Assawamsett Pond is significant. It's significant in a lot of ways, but historically it's significant. Um, it's significant to King Philip's War. There was a man who was allegedly murdered there. He was a Native American man who was allegedly murdered. That's a long story to get into that I'm not going to get into. But that was said to have, really set off the King Philip's War with his murder. And so Assawamsett it's also a very, to my understanding, is a very sacred place. It's a very special place. Um, but it coincides with another report Woodnocks heard near Assawamsett Pond in 2009. Assawamset's right near Lakeville, and Lakeville is kind of that whole area is very rural. It's very lots of water, lots of ponds, lots of there's woods, and it's right next to Freetown. I mean, it's right across the highway from Freetown, so it's on the southern end of the Bridgewater Triangle. I'm just
Right.
looking at the map because I love that area, like the whole southeastern Mass. I'm just
It's
I
pretty. No, it is. Lakeville's is gorgeous.
yeah
Parts of that are very nice. Assonet.
I re- oh yeah. I love Carver too. Like just I remember we used to drive through and just there was I forget what road it was, just through Rochester and up into Carver and like the back road to Plymouth. And we'd always have the cranberry bogs like off to the side, and I missed that ride. But anyway, I saw this and I thought of Assawamsett Pond, and when I saw this report, and I'm just gonna again go over it real quick. Oops, that's the wrong one. I clicked on the 1979 one. Hold on. This is March 2009 again. Wood Knocks. So again, setting the stage for it's a very rural area. Um, Actually, I'll read this real quick. It was a mild day, and I decided to take a walk in the woods. After traveling about 5 or 10 minutes down a woods road, I heard three deliberate and distinct knocks, which emanated about 50 yards away from inside the brush off to my left. It stopped me dead in my tracks. I have read many of the incidents on BFRO, and I could not believe what I was hearing. I composed myself and found what I considered a sturdy stick and struck a large pine tree close by in the same manner as I had just heard. It took about 5 seconds and a reply came back, but only two deliberate knocks this time. A couple of seconds later, another sound came from a direction parallel to the first, but about 50 yards apart. The sound was like a tree being struck, but with the stick breaking on impact. Ugh. This sound was like a tree being struck, but with the stick breaking on impact. When the stick broke, it sounded like it had a girth of a couple inches. I struck my tree 3 more times, but nothing more happened. Let me add that as I was strolling down this trail, I was smoking a cigar, and the wind was blowing into the direction that the knocks came from. I continued down the trail, which takes you to the edge of a pond. While exploring there, I found an interesting thing. Lying on the ground was what looked like a 3-foot wooden club with a jagged end where roots would have been. It looked like something that you would see in a caveman picture. There were also two holes in the ground, one next to a tree, the hole about 12 inches in diameter and about 20 inches deep, the other about 5 feet away from the tree and 3 or 4 inches in diameter and only 4 or 5 inches deep, with the club laying on its side and the small end partially in that hole. I believe that this club dug both holes because of the way the end was all rounded and embedded with dirt, but I do not understand why. I decided to go back to the next day for photographs, and I brought a yardstick with me to get these measurements. When returning the next day, I discovered a good-sized pile of feces on the trail, about 15 feet away from the tree I had knocked on. Nothing unusual took place this day, but I did take pictures of various other things as well, as which may or may not be relevant. What or who made those knocks, I probably will never know, but be clear on this day, they were distinct, cleared, timed, and deliberate. Of this I am sure. Feces. My issue with wood knocks is that you can't see what's doing it, right? Let me add this to the what's it called? The report. The witness is a former hunter, an outdoorsman, and a part-time security officer. He entered the area from a trailhead located on a quiet residential road and did not see any parked cars or hikers on the way in or out during the approximately 45-minute round trip hike. Yeah, that's a little bit of a walk. Um, Nothing insane, but so what I'm saying is like my issue with wood knocks is they're compelling. Don't get me wrong, but like you don't know where they're coming from.
Very
It
true.
it you know what I mean? Like it very well could be a person,
Hmm.
and I think wood knocks are one of those things. Like sure, like write it down, document, but at the same time, like I don't know, they're not. It's like without something else, I don't think they're enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could just be somebody throwing a stick against a tree
Yeah, it could be.
in the woods.
That's unfortunately like that's my take on Wood Knocks. Although it's a compelling story, and considering that like it's all still in the same crazy ass area. The craziest thing to me about the Bridgewater Triangle is that even though the and Miles Standish and Massasoit State Park and Freetown and whatever the hell else there is down here that's has all this craziness going on all the time. The swamps, the everything. So these are like they are rural areas, but like they're surrounded by highways and bigger cities, and you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
New Bedford is not that far from Massachusetts versus Taunton is not that far from Freetown. You know what I mean? Like Lakeville is not far from Middleborough. Like these aren't like wilderness areas. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
like these are very like populated, congested. Like all of the cities that when you look at the map of this area, like I'm looking at it right now, we've got Taunton, Raina, Middleborough, Bridgewater, Brockton, Stoughton, Canton. We're not going to talk about Canton right now. Plymouth, Wareham, Marion. All of these, like, these are big towns. You know what I mean? So it's crazy to think like, and we talked about this in our episode with Peter with New England folklore about how a lot of these things happen in this area. Do you remember that conversation?
Hmm.
And how they are populated.
Yeah, there was like we talked about like a lizard man sighting or something that was
Yeah, the lizard.
not. I want to
Yeah,
say within 20 minutes of this area. I forget
yeah.
I forget the exact town.
And yeah, there were more than one. Oh, come on, where was it? I can't remember the town either. I want to say, but it was near here. I'm looking at the map too, and I can't remember right now off the top of my head. We will link that episode in the comments too, because that was a really good episode. Um, yeah, I can't remember where it was, but anyway, it's just interesting how stories like that come out of the areas that you wouldn't think they would. You know?
Yeah, because Massachusetts is, I mean, that's like essentially Metro Boston at this point. You know what
I
I
know,
mean?
right? Yeah,
Like
I actually,
there's so many
yeah,
people in the area. It's just like everything is pretty much Metro Boston at this point. You
it's
know what I
pretty
mean?
nuts. The congestion is crazy, actually.
So I mean, yeah, like in terms of population density, I want to say Massachusetts is number three, right? In that
I
area. So like it's very populated. It's very
it,
busy.
it's very busy. The highways are crazy. 495 is nuts. Like I rue the day that I have to go on any of these highways. It's funny. I literally just had a friend like an hour ago. Like I heard Massachusetts is a great place to live, and I'm like, depends what you define as great. Now, mind you, she's from like small town Vermont, so like you know. And I'm like, well, anything east of 495 is, psychotic. So there's that.
Very true.
190, actually, I really should say, from like Worcester east it's just nuts. Even looking at the map, it's so funny because
Worcester's okay. Worcester I can deal with.
really?
Like driving compared to Boston, Boston's just
Oh, compared to Boston, yeah. Well,
bullshit.
Boston, just forget it. Just forget it. Nobody should ever drive in Boston. I freaking hate driving in Boston. 93
I
north.
was like I went up to Boston because I know somebody who like that I work for.
Right.
And I went to Boston to do some work for him. I didn't want to. I literally
Yeah, no
no.
shit.
There was like a gridlock in the tunnel, and it's like the two lanes, right? South Street
Uh,
Station, and a Stadies trying to like go right up the middle, right?
oh my god.
Yeah, I almost got clipped. I'm like, I cannot pull over any farther. Like, I cannot, you
He's
know what I
already
mean?
pulled over. He can't pull over any farther.
Like
Yeah.
maybe is it that important?
I
You know,
mean,
I'm just saying. I'm like, I really am not trying to get clipped by a fucking Stady and have that sort of day.
right in the tunnel.
Yeah,
Yeah. No.
no,
I
no,
wonder,
thank
like,
you.
Isn't there a way around? There has to be. Is 93 the one that goes under the water?
I think so. That's the tunnel.
I think it is.
And don't
Which
get me
is
wrong, like the city has some charm. Like
it does. I
driving
mean,
through
it's Boston.
yeah, like driving through, I'm like, oh, there's some things I like about it, but whatever. But no,
It's fucking crazy.
just
Just no. Anyway, maybe that's why it's the area. It's Massachusetts is just fucking. The Bridgewater Triangle actually encompasses Boston, but they never talk about that. Mm.
whoa. Oh, Boston's its own thing, dude. We could do like you want to talk about like a haunted Boston episode? That's actually a great idea.
I
That's
heard
a
there's
great
a lot
idea.
in Boston. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
let's
we
do that.
should.
Let's do that for our
Haunted
next episode.
Boston.
Haunted fucking Boston.
That's cool. That's fine because Boston. Well, I was gonna say it's so close to Salem, but it's actually not. It is. Salem's its own episode. Jeez. Massachusetts, we could do just haunted. We should just be the haunted Massachusetts channel. I mean, what the fuck?